What's up, everybody? Glenn and Big Jack are back with a Bears preview video for Week 8. It is a Sunday game against the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World. The Bears coming off a very surprising victory over the Patriots on Monday night. They use a little mini bye week to change a lot of things, implement some quarterback design runs that they haven't really used to this point. Justin Fields plays a great game. The defense plays a great game. Luke Getsy calls his best game of the year. Probably the most enjoyable viewing experience as a Bears fan since maybe some of those games during the playoff season where they lost to the Eagles. It's probably been that long, 4 years or so. I need to address something before we go into Big Jack's keys to victory. I am a fucking coward. I am a fake fan. I am not a Bears fan. Someone maybe even called me a fucking Patriots fan after last week's video, which is actually getting uploaded late due to some travel issues. I am such a coward that I said out loud that there is no way the Bears win this game. So I'm not even going to give keys to victory. I am just going to give some things I'm watching. Just so you fans out there know, I will never do that again. This is me holding myself accountable. I will always believe there's a chance to win. There's always stuff that can be done. I don't care if they're going up against the Bills. That's why you play the game. Any given Sunday, anybody can win. Sure, some of the keys might be a little ridiculous. Maybe I might need to say, hey, we're going to run the ball with Justin Fields 15 times, and we're going to freaking win the turnover battle 4-1, and we're going to all our coaches are going to outcoach the greatest coach to ever live. Maybe I'll say some crazy stuff like that because there's a chance it happens because that's exactly what happened. Anyways, we're on to Week 8. The Bears sit here at 3-4, which is really disappointing because there's no reason they shouldn't be 4-3 at minimum. And at 4-3 right now, they'd be actually sitting in a wild card spot, as crazy as that sounds. Anyways, Week 8 against the Cowboys. Cowboys, great defense. Dak Prescott's back and playing pretty well. Ezekiel Elliott is out, I think. I think that's confirmed. He's out. And today, Robert Quinn was actually traded, so he's gone. So that's a couple developing things. I think Lucas Patrick as well is confirmed out for a few weeks. So that's another note. Jack, what is your first key to a Bears victory? And at this point moving forward, I think we always have to give keys to victory because they can win a game.
Yeah. Well, hey, you said I don't care if they're playing the Bills, and Christmas Eve we'll be able to see whose turn it is for the keys. But if it's my turn, I'm just gonna cut and edit your Patriots clip and say the same thing.
Okay.
They got no shot against the Bills. But no, I'm just playing. First key, kind of going off of what you just said. Actually, that Cowboys defense is stellar. Arguably the best in the league, but they are susceptible in the run game. I think they're ranked somewhere in the 20s. They might be like right at 20th, but they are in the 20s as far as run defense goes. So, not a lot of people, myself included, love to say this too often, but in this particular situation, you got to run the ball. Pound the rock, take advantage of that success that they've been having in the ground game all season, sort of use that against the Cowboys, kind of isolate their weakness and try to attack them there. I think the key that kind of ties into that is, we're going to have to play from ahead. The Cowboys defense, they pin their ears back and get going, and it's going to be over quick if we get behind. They know that we're going to be in passing situations, kind of chasing the scoreboard. If that happens, the Bears are going to be in trouble. So we got to, stay ahead, control the clock a little bit, pound the rock on the ground, and, try to position ourselves where it's a tight game throughout, if not, kind of maintaining a little bit of a lead.
Absolutely. I got three things to add to this. I would agree if I was doing this, this would be point number one. So the three things I have to add to this: while you say the Cowboys are like 20th ish in the league in run, the Bears are number one in running offense. Obviously, a big part
Yeah.
of that is the quarterback, but we kind of have two, in my opinion, very, very good running backs in our backfield. I think Monty is arguably maybe the most underrated back in the league. He runs as hard as anybody. He runs so damn hard. And then Khalil Herbert, his just center of gravity is so low and solid. He he does some damage back there too. I really like our two headed monster at back, and then
It's
obviously
leading the league in yards per carry.
yeah, I love our run game. So we're the number one run team in the NFL right now. That's a fact. So obviously that'll be key, not only because that's our forte, but that's also the Cowboys struggle against that. Now that being said, the Cowboys were watching that Monday Night Football game because did you see what they went out and did today? They
No,
went
I did not.
they went and traded for a defensive tackle from the Raiders.
Okay.
I think his last name is Hankins. I don't think he's like a world beater, but I think he's like a run stop specialist. So they're probably thinking, hey, we could probably. They probably realize that they need help in general, but they also could probably use some help this weekend coming up. So we'll see if that guy plays, if he makes any kind of impact. And then lastly, I just want to add on your play from ahead note. Yurko from the Chicago radio station was talking today, and he was saying he agrees with the sentiment and the idea, but you don't necessarily have to be playing from ahead. You just have to be playing from close. They can't go behind like 10 points, 14 points. They got to keep it. If they're down three, you could still run the ball. You know, if you're down one score, you can still run the ball. So I agree. Got to keep it close. Can't start chasing. So let's hope they do that. Let's hope they either play from ahead or very close behind. On to your point number two.
Yep. Number two, I'm actually gonna just say Luke Getzey and the game plan. Just watch the film of Monday night over and over and over and burn it into your brain. Uh, and, continue to cater this offense in that fashion. Rely on the run game, operate with those quarterback design runs. I think there's a little bit of the national narrative fluff of people who aren't really, ingrained as much in every play of the Bears like, some of us are. And there's kind of this, you need to roll them out. You need to roll them out. Look at how much success you have when you roll them out. I think we only had like 5 designed rollouts. You don't need to overdo it. When you roll a quarterback out, you're taking away half of the field.
Right.
So I get, maybe the guy's comfortable. There's some success to be had, but you don't want to overdo it. And I don't think that Getsy did. I think that's just kind of one of those things like, oh my God, he rolled out 2, 3 times. Let's show those clips and say he was rolling out on 75% of his snaps. No, it was 5 times, but it was effective. You keep mixing that sort of stuff in, those quarterback designed runs. Fields was, a little more comfortable kind of growing in the game. There was a couple times where, he that back foot hit and he was getting the ball out, more than he really had been this year. I think we've seen now going back to from the Giants game to the Vikings game to the Washington game, now to this game, we've seen, kind of those steps building to this point where he had this, good game. I won't say great, but he had a good game against the Patriots. And I think it's just another thing he can continue to build on. And in order to do that, I think it's important that Getsy, sticks to kind of a similar game plan that he had last week and utilizes all his tools.
Absolutely. I love keeping them guessing too. Just like you talked about. They were doing all kinds of things last week that a lot of us have been begging for. There was a big play to start the game. There were some screen passes, a couple rollouts to, throwing people open, whatever. I mean, they were doing everything, man. They, end around, a Pettis that went for many yards. I mean, he called a masterful game against the Patriots, and in my opinion, he had him just like Justin has been getting better every week. It's a little bit of a process. I'm encouraged by both him and Justin. We'll see how it goes this week against probably, unarguably, a little bit of a tougher defense. Maybe not necessarily a tougher overall test because Belichick is that X factor, but there's a lot of talent on this defense this weekend. So we'll see how that There's probably gonna be a few more plays that go off script. If he makes a pass that's a little off, Diggs might get to it. To where last week the Patriots didn't have a guy that did. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening this weekend. But I agree. Luke Getzky's game plan and play calling is going to have to be on point if the Bears want to get a
Yep. And my last point, I'm actually going to go 3 for 3, all three keys, sort of focusing on the offense.
win. Okay.
The main reason for that is Dallas's Dallas's offense doesn't really scare me. Their defense is excellent. I'm not really worried about Dallas's offense. Our defense should be able to go in there, do their thing, keep us in the game. My third point though is don't be afraid of Micah Parsons. That's a key. One of the only teams that's had success against the Cowboys this year, other than that, you know, what was it, 13-10 or whatever it was, that super ugly Bucks Cowboys game on the Sunday Night Football back in week 1. The only team that's had success against the Cowboys other than that was the Eagles. And they went at Micah Parsons every play. They tried to force him into decision making, kind of take away his biggest asset of his speed and just kind of reacting to the play. Kind of take a look at what they did. They did a lot of those, quarterback reads, kind of reading Micah Parsons. And I think that that's something that we can do similarly with Fields, the way that they are able to utilize Hurts and his legs, working those read options, put the pressure on Micah Parsons, who, is probably going to be the best player on the field. He is the best player on the field on this Sunday. So attack him. Don't be afraid of it. Go at him with those read options and, force him into some decision making. Don't allow him to just react out there.
Second best player on the field. Zach Martin still wears a Cowboys jersey, so he'll be the best player on the field. But Michael Parsons,
No, Micah Parsons is significantly better.
Agree to disagree. But
I mean, you're wrong. You're wrong in this fashion.
So,
But Zach Martin's just a Notre Dame guy. He's a good offensive lineman. Everything right in your wheelhouse. Micah
right.
Parsons is the best. He's arguably he's like a top 5 player in the league, probably.
I know you're not wrong, especially because you got to value that position more than an offensive guard. But Zach Martin still might be the best offensive guard in the NFL. But anyways, agree with the point. I
Besides
don't.
Tevin Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins has been good, man. Agree with your point. Your key to victory. Don't be scared of Parsons. I have not seen the game that you're talking about where they went at him. Maybe I'll try to find some film on that just to watch it, see what you're talking about. But I'll take your word for that. Yeah, I mean,
It was the
Eagles game.
They just kept intentionally isolating Micah Parsons. The only reason I know it is because
Sure.
it was a Sunday night game,
Gotcha.
so it was the national spot. I watched the whole game, and they kind of commented it on themselves throughout. They kept showing the
Gotcha.
clips of how every time there was a read, they just weren't even blocking Micah Parsons. They were forcing him to be the one to
Make
make
the
the
move.
read.
Gotcha.
Right.
The one thing I will say on your keys, so great keys, agree to them. Agree with all three of them, obviously, as I think most people would. I do think it's important that we build on last week being so strong in all three phases of the game. Um, if we're going to win games with this team, there has to be complementary football. The defense got to be getting off the field at points, coming up in key situations. Special teams, Santos, keep doing your thing. Return game, just don't fuck up. Realistically speaking, maybe take on the Adam Ciccone strategy of just not even putting a return man back there. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to
I
the
mean,
game. I think 9.5 is a big spread. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Um, my theory on being on or against the Bears for the most
I
part.
know.
Uh, I think I would take the points. I don't think I would lay them.
Okay.
If I had to choose a side, I think I would ride with the Bears and take the 9.5. But you do bring up an excellent point about just kind of not messing up out there. As glorious as things were as a whole on Monday night, that game could have been a lot different. The Bears put the ball on the floor
Yes.
five
Yes.
times. 5 times. We recovered every single one, so didn't matter. It's not part of the story, whatever. But it is a little worrisome. I mean, Justin Fields has now played 19 NFL games, and I think he has 23 fumbles.
So
Like
Trent Dilfer,
I used to make fun of Daniel Jones
yeah,
like crazy because he was fumbling at least once a game, and Justin Fields
is doing the same thing.
is worse. So
Um,
he's got to correct that.
so Trent Dilfer was on 670 the score, which I'm not huge on the score, but I am a big Trent Dilfer guy. And he was talking. He does a weekly call with Spiegel and Parkins, and he was asked this week among a number of other questions, but what specific areas does Justin need to improve on? And he I forget what the first thing he mentioned was, but it was something legitimate. And then the second thing was he has to have better ball security, especially with the fumbling. And he was basically like, that's the worst thing that you could be labeled as a quarterback is if you start becoming just a fumbler. And he's like, he's got to figure that out ASAP because it is happening way too often.
Yeah, it's a problem, but you know, Trent Dilfer. The best advice that guy could give to a quarterback is to try to end up on a team with a top 10 all-time defense.
The thing about it is he owns up to it too, but the guy's a smart and well spoken guy. Relax,
No,
relax.
I'm just playing. I'm
No
just playing.
ricochet Trent Dilfer shots here.
Giving him a little banter. I just can't believe you're listening to that cesspool of a channel. I wouldn't
So I
even.
started watching ESPN 1000 videos on YouTube and Twitch, and because I did that, they started showing up for the 670 the score ones, like I suggested. And
Gotcha.
I like Trent Dilfer, so I tuned in, and he was talking Justin Fields after all these games, and I'm always trying to learn more. So I don't know,
Yeah,
but
no. When I used to listen to a decent amount of like national stuff from time to time,
yeah,
and I was like, I listened to Coward for a few months, had a pretty consistent stretch, and Dilfer used to be a frequent guest on there, and I agree, he does have some valuable insight. He definitely knows the game.
for sure, for sure. All right, score predictions,
Score predictions,
or just game
I'm gonna
predictions.
score predictions. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Cowboys 24, Bears 27.
Wow. Wow. I'm very nervous about this game. I would argue just as nervous as I was about last week about getting embarrassed. I hope they go out and they build on what they did last week and don't go backwards. I don't know if I'm ready to get there with you on a win. I'll go 21-13 Cowboys. I I'd like to see more points from the offense. I hope it happens. Obviously, I'll be rooting for them, but it would be great for my futures as well. If people don't know, my two futures are Bears over wins, which is I think 6.5 plus 150, and under on Cowboys wins, which is 10. So that's not looking great. So if the Cowboys beat the Bears, both those futures are starting to look very suspect.
That plus 150 is just incredible value
It's
for
great.
a over under future though. So it's
Well, like a
it's
day or
tough.
two later, most books switch to 6. So I
Yeah.
am needing that extra win, but plus 150 is great. All right. Any last words other than the Bears that we get every week?
No, man, I think we got it covered pretty well, and got to just go down there and get it done. I know it's gonna be a fun crowd. People always travel well into Dallas. There's a lot of what do you call people when they leave the city? Exports.
Sure.
When they're living somewhere else, I forget the term.
Expats,
Uh,
expatriates.
no, there's some term they call people who like if you live in Dallas, but there's like a big conglomerate of people who are all from Chicago or something.
I
But
know for out of
anyway,
country, it's expat at least.
oh yeah, no, it's
I don't know.
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But anyway, there's gonna be a lot of Bears fans in the building. Hopefully we can bring a decent crowd out down there for the gang, and maybe shock everybody again back to back weeks. Really start to keep building on that positive momentum.
I love it. I'll be rooting for it. But all right. if you're new here, like, subscribe, comment, get involved. Jack, give it to him.
Bears.
Bears, bear down, boys.